When making a suit, there are literally thousands of different cloths, styles, and cuts to choose from. But if I had to pick one suit, the only suit I could have for the rest of my life, it would be the one that I'm wearing right now. My name's Ian Meiers, owner of the UK's largest bespoke tailor, and I'm about to break down why. Let's start by talking about the materials in this suit, starting with cloth type. The cloth that you choose is going to determine how the suit drapes, how much shape we can build into it, and how well the suit is going to breathe. This is a linen suit. It comes from the flax plant, and the great thing about it is it's super lightweight, it's super breathable, and perfect for a hot environment. Cotton is another option, which also comes from a plant. The problem with plant-based fibers is that the underlying fiber creases and bends easier, which is why you get the wrinkling on the suit. Luxury cloths like vicuna, mohair, and cashmere all come from animals. When we're looking at super fine hairs, we're talking about the micron diameter of the hair. And the finer the hairs, the more luxurious, the softer the cloth is going to be. So with cashmeres, you're getting down to some of the finest hairs in the world. And with a vicuna, you are literally picking up the finest hair on the planet, which gives a soft, beautiful finish to the garment. However, because the fibers are so thin, they don't have the rigidity and resilience of a thicker fiber. So they're not going to last as long. For my suit, I chose merino wool. Merino wool comes from the merino sheep, typically produced in Australia, and that breed of sheep is famed for its thick fleece with very fine hairs. It makes for a suit that wears well, that lasts well, but also extremely breathable, and it's good for most climates. It's going to keep you warmer in the winter and wick away some of the heat in the summer. It's also incredibly crease resistant. You're not going to have to worry as much about wrinkles. All in all, merino wool breathes well, lasts well, and drapes well. Cloth origin. The country the cloth is made in can have a big impact on the quality, the finish, and the style. Although wool cloth can be made in many countries, the three main producers are China, Italy, and the UK. Although Chinese cloth is exported to many markets around the world, the primary purpose is to supply the factories that manufacture millions of garments a year. So the main emphasis behind Chinese cloth production is on quantity and price, not necessarily on quality. The jacket here is made from Italian cloth. And like the people of Italy, it looks fantastic. It has a great luster to it, it has a great drape to it, and it has a beautiful finish. But the downside to Italian cloth is that it tends not to have the same body that other cloths might have. It looks great, it feels great, but it doesn't have the longevity and the durability of the cloth that I'm looking for my suit. The cloth I ended up using for this suit is British. Most of the cloth in the UK is made in the north of England, in a county called Yorkshire. The cloth tends to have a bit more body, a bit more grit to it. So typically you'll find some of the yarns will be a 2-ply yarn. They'll tend to make it with a little more weight. And they'll make it with less of a luster, something that's got more of a matte finish that's going to be perfect for something that I want to use for the rest of my life. Super number. The super number refers to the micron diameter of the hair going into the yarn that makes the cloth. Now the higher the number, the finer the hair. And finer hairs make more luxurious cloths. So one thing to be mindful of is the misconception that a higher super number means a better suit. This cloth is a Super 200s, which means it's 15.5 micron, 15.5 millionths of a meter. It's super fine, it's super soft, it's super luxury, but the problem is it's not going to last so well. That's why for my suit, I've chosen a Super 100s. It's got luxurious feel, it's got a great drape to it, but it's also going to have the durability and stability that I want for a clean looking suit that's going to last a long time. Lining material. A suit lining goes inside of the jacket, and it gives you greater movability so your shirt doesn't catch against the cloth. The three most popular lining materials are ermazines, cupros, and silks. An ermazine lining is made from fibers that are extracted from wood pulp. It makes a very strong, very breathable, very lightweight lining. But it lacks the great finish or luster that some of the other materials offer. Silk has a great luster to it and a great finish. The problem is though, it doesn't breathe very well and it's not as durable as the other options. The lining I went with is a cupro. Now a cupro is made from a cotton and wood pulp, and it produces a very luxurious, fine finish to it with a great luster, but still with good breathability. And although it's not quite as strong as an ermazine, it has a much richer, beautiful finish, which is why I wanted it inside of my jacket. Cloth weight. Cloth can be made light, medium, or heavyweight. Lightweight cloth is great because it's light, it's breathable, and it's comfortable in warm environments. The downside to it though is it doesn't drape as well. You don't get such a clean looking suit and it's not going to last as long. Heavyweight cloth is going to be the most durable cloth. It's going to last longer, it's going to hold shape better. The downside to it though is in a warm environment, it's not very comfortable to wear. If I'm going to have one suit for the rest of my life, a mid-weight cloth is going to offer me the most versatility throughout the 4 seasons of the year. It's going to be breathable to an extent, it's going to have durability, and it's going to drape well. It really is the best of both worlds. Button type. The buttons are really a key finishing touch to the suit. If you get the choice of button matching the cloth well, the suit's going to look fantastic. If you don't, it's really going to take away from the overall finish of the suit. So this is a button card that I'll typically show to a client once we pick the cloth and the style options. It shows horn, mother of pearl, leather and metal buttons. A metal button can give you a really distinct look. For a separate blazer or a jacket, it can be a good option, but it's not so popular for most people. You can cover a button in the cloth so it matches the material that the suit has been made in. We use this typically in formal wear where you're having a lapel to match the buttons, but typically you're going to have a button that contrasts to the cloth that you're using. A mother of pearl button offers a really stylized look to a jacket. It has a lot of luster, it has a lot of shine to it, and it can offer a high level of contrast to the material that you're using. So if you want a standout piece, sometimes a mother of pearl button can work well. Another option is to have a button made from Carozo, which is a type of nut. It offers a very matte finish and an alternative distinct from other buttons. What most luxury suits will be made from is an animal horn. You can make it from a cow horn. The problem is it's a little brittle. So most people would tend to use a buffalo horn. Depending on what part of the horn it comes from will determine the color of that button. Lighter colors like the ones here are taken from the tip and the outside of the horn. The darker buttons are taken from the inside. There's a variation, a gradualization of the colors that go through, which allow us to pick buttons that match perfectly to the client's cloth. My buttons are a black buffalo horn with a very tiny flick of brown running through it. I picked this because it matches the cloth perfectly and allows me to wear both brown and black shoes with the suit. With materials done, let's move on to style, starting with color. The color of the suit will determine its personality, its formality, and its versatility. To my right, we have a grey suit. Now, a grey suit is the most formal of all business suits. It's relatively easy to match ties and shirts with, and it's a staple in many people's wardrobes. But it can be just a little bit boring. Now here we have a black dinner suit, or as it's called in America, a tuxedo. Now, although you can use a black cloth for a business suit, it's very formal, so we recommend it that you keep it for occasions like weddings and funerals. To my left, we have a brown suit. Now, the oranges of a brown suit come in country wear, although today we're finding more and more people wearing them for business and also in the city. However, it tends to be a little more casual and might not fit in so well in more formal environments. Over here we have a green suit, super popular at the moment, a really fun alternative to some of the other colours. We see a lot of weddings and a lot of people looking for a stylised option going for a green suit. The downside though, that as with the brown, it lacks some of the formality of the other options. For my suit, I've decided to go with a navy blue. The beauty of a navy suit is it's the most versatile of all of the colours. You can dress it up. I could wear this as a 3-piece blue suit, or I could wear it as a jacket with a pair of jeans, or anywhere in between. It's easy to match with different skin tones, and it also offers a level of formality without moving into black. It has some interest to it, whereas a grey doesn't. It holds formality, whereas a green and brown doesn't. So if one suit for the rest of my life, it's always going to be in a navy blue. Lining style. When picking a lining, your first decision is, do I go with a pattern or do I go with a plain? A pattern lining gives you a chance to really personalize your suit. You can have some fun inside, you can put some character inside the suit rather than the outside. You could have a paisley, you could have a polka dot, you could have a stripe. You could even take a photograph and print it on a lining and put it inside your jacket. But putting a pattern lining inside your suit is a very distinct option. What I like today, I might not like in a few years' time. So for that reason, I suggest sticking with a more simple option. When it comes to plain linings, you have a ton of options. You could go with something bright, something bold, something super interesting, or you can go with something more conservative that either matches or just has a gentle contrast to the cloth you're choosing. These often aren't such a statement as a pattern one and will stand the test of time better. For my suit, I've gone with a plain blue lining that contrasts to the cloth, so it adds some character to it. It's actually a shot, which means it's made up of 2 different colour yarns. It has a blue and a silver running through it that adds some interesting character to the lining without being overpowering. It also has a nice iridescence that adds some personality to the lining. I chose to go with a lining that had some contrast. If I just matched the navy blue of the cloth, then it would look a little dull, a little boring. If I go too bright and too far out, it can look a little obnoxious. So I like to have something considered that's different, that's interesting, but not over the top. Number of buttons. When it comes to buttons, you need to decide first of all if you're going to go with a single-breasted suit or a double-breasted suit. There are a number of things to think about when considering this. A double-breasted suit can look great. It's a stylized piece, although very traditional. Now, when it's cut well and it's well fitted, it can look actually modern and a great kind of stylized piece for a client to wear. Double-breasted means there's a wrap at the front of the jacket. Now, what do I mean by wrap? On a single-breasted, there's only a very small wrap. So the front of the left panel goes over the right panel, just a small amount. On the double-breasted, we're cutting much more cloth over the front. So you'll see the front extend here and on the inside, and that gives you the look of the double-breasted suit. The downside to a double-breasted suit, though, is that you really need to wear it done up for it to hang properly. So that limits the versatility of the jacket. Single-breasted is going to be the go-to styling for most clients. It's easy to wear, it looks good, it's comfortable to wear, and you can wear it both buttoned up or unbuttoned. With a single-breasted jacket, you're typically going to choose between a 3, a 2, or a 1-button jacket. A 2-button jacket is really a staple. You're going to see a lot of people in the street wearing this. It's easy to wear, it looks good, and one thing to note is the second button should never be done up. As you can see with both buttons done up here, it creates a straightness to the jacket and a boxiness to the jacket that as a tailor I don't want. I undo this now. You can see the fronts have been naturally cut to taper away a little bit, and that creates more shape and a more elegant finish to the jacket. So you should never have both buttons done up. So a good question is, why do we have 2 buttons if we don't do the second button up? The answer is there for aesthetic, and you don't have to have it there. You don't need it there, which is why on my jacket I've gone with a 1 button. Now the things I like about a 1 button is it creates a long open run, a very clean look to the jacket. I also cut this button perhaps a fraction lower than I do with a 2 button, the top button, and it creates a longer V, which gives a longer run. And again, we're creating shape, we're creating nice runs through a jacket, and I think 1 button, if you're gonna have 1 suit for the rest of your life, is the way to go. Lapel shape. On a single-breasted jacket, one of the biggest style options you're gonna make is whether you have a notched lapel, peak lapel, or shawl lapel. Here on my right, we have a beautiful cashmere black watch tartan jacket with a very stylized wide shawl lapel. It adds a lot of interest to the jacket, but it tends to be reserved really for formal wear. You're going to see this on tuxedos and smoking jackets. You're not going to see this with someone walking into the office or down the street on a regular workday. On my left, we have a peak lapel jacket. A peak lapel here refers to the points that are coming up. It adds a certain flamboyance to the jacket, a little bit of interest to it, and it should be one of the jackets you have in a rotation. But if you're going to have 1 suit for the rest of your life, peak lapel just stands out a little bit too much, and that's why I'm going to go with a notched lapel on my jacket. A notched lapel is really the classic on any single-breasted jacket. It's the regular one that you'll see most of the time. It's easy to wear. It doesn't look too flamboyant. It doesn't look too informal either. It's always going to look good. It's always going to fit in, and you can't go wrong with it. Pocket style. When you're looking at jacket pockets, you've got 3 main options to consider. The first is a patch pocket. Now you tend to see this on more casual, more stylized pieces. So a jacket, perhaps with a softer shoulder, less structure to it, works well with a patch pocket. It's interesting, and if you want to pair that with more casual trousers or a pair of jeans, then it's a great option. But if we're going to have 1 suit for the rest of our life, we need to go something a little more formal. The other option is a straight pocket. Now this is your bog standard pocket that you're going to see on most jackets. It's totally fine, it's totally acceptable, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing exciting about it either. So for me, I recommend a slant pocket. And a slanted pocket, one, is what you see on higher end suits. It offers a more stylized, interesting piece. And the other thing is it accentuates the line. So as a tailor, we're creating shape in a jacket. We're creating a chest and a waisting, and then we skirt out towards the seat. And those slant pockets will follow that line, and it accentuates the look of the tailored suit on the jacket. 1 button, slant pocket creates a very sleek and elegant line to a suit. There is also something called a ticket pocket. In the mid-1800s, people started catching the train to work, and they needed a place to put their ticket. So the ticket pocket was invented. It's an extra 3rd small pocket that sits above the right-hand pocket, typically on the right-hand side, and it offers a place to put a ticket, or now, as no one uses a ticket, it's just a stylized piece that adds a little extra detail to it. It's fun to have. Some clients like it on there, a little bit of extra interest. For me, I prefer the cleanliness of not having the extra pocket there. Flower buttonhole. On the lapel of a jacket, you'll typically see a buttonhole, and this is what we call a flower buttonhole or a boutonniere. Its origins come from the military, where a soldier will want to keep himself protected from the elements. They literally put the lapels up, there will be a button on the underside of this lapel, and it would allow them to do it up. We aren't wearing these in the military anymore these days, so it's become more of an aesthetic and more of a piece of interest on the suit, and it has some practical function. If you want to wear a flower, then you could put a flower through it. So we'd always want a working buttonhole here, and underneath the lapel we'd do a handmade little loop in our suits, which would allow you to rest the stem of the flower through there. I nearly always recommend a buttonhole on there. I think it would look a little strange without it. Trousers. When it comes to trousers, my personal preference is for a clean, simple styling. One of the key options you'll have to make on a pair of trousers is if you have it with pleats or without pleats. Now, pleats are designed to put extra cloth into the front of the trousers. They can look quite traditional, they can look quite fun, but fundamentally you're adding more cloth in there. So for most clients, I'm going to recommend having it without pleats and get a cleaner, more simple look. When it comes to a well-fitted suit, you typically wouldn't have a belt on it. If you're wearing a belt, it shows your tailor's no good. The trousers should fit you. The belt will cut your body in half and break up the line running through the body. It also detracts from the attention of the suit and puts it onto the belt. So typically a suit would have a side adjuster on it. And this gives a very clean, open run through the front, and it gives you the ability just to take in a little bit should you lose a little bit of weight or want to pull it up through the day. Turn-ups, or cuffs as they're called in America, are additional cloth at the bottom of the trousers that are rolled up. They're stylized, but a bit more casual, so I prefer to go without them. And finally, you need to think about the back pockets in your trousers. You have choices of both back pockets on the left and right side, one back pocket on either side, or no back pockets. If you're going to use your back pockets to keep your wallet or your phone, then obviously you need one. But for me, you should keep those, any phones or wallets, in your breast pockets of your jacket. There's space in here built in there so you can put it in. For me, a clean, very well-fitted pair of trousers is the best option. For that reason, I recommend having no back pockets. That's it for style. Let's move on to fit. The most important thing of any suit is the fit of the suit. Beyond the materials, beyond the styling of it, if you see someone walking down the road that looks super sharp, it's because their suit is really well fitted. The suits you see here are ready to wear, which means they're made to a set size. So you can go into a store, pick them off the rack and walk away with them that day. The two main benefits of a ready-to-wear suit are one, that it tends to be a little cheaper than a tailored suit, and two, that you can get it quicker. But the fundamental issue is that suit hasn't been made to your body shape. So it's never going to be the perfect fit and you're never going to look your best in it. For that, I recommend going bespoke. Bespoke tailoring. This is my colleague Michael, who's wearing a bespoke suit. Bespoke tailoring is a process where you create a unique suit individual for that client. We're looking at shoulder shape, we're looking at body posture, we're looking at chest position, we're looking at the client's stomach, we're looking at the client's seat. We're looking at things like sleeve pitch. So if a client's arms are forwards or backwards, we have to rotate the sleeve to fit that client. So there's a multitude of little things that go into creating a perfect suit. The key benefit of a bespoke suit is that you're going to have a ton of shape, you're going to have a really elegant aesthetic while still being comfortable. Another thing to think about with a handmade suit is longevity. If you're making by hand, it's designed to last for a long time. If you're making by machine, it's often machined and glued together. The glue can come apart and we would never put that inside one of our suits. What we have is a full canvas inside, so everything floats, it moves, it breathes, and it's sewn in, so there's nothing can come apart. It's true that bespoke suits cost more than custom, made to measure or ready to wear. But if you're going to have one suit for the rest of your life, I really recommend going bespoke. So that's it. Every decision I made to have the one suit that I need for the rest of my life. While a lot of tailoring comes down to personal taste, there are definitely choices you can make to ensure that you'll be wearing this suit for many years to come.